Hey, friends. A good friend of mine, a good friend of my family's, and who is also someone who's also been a real kind of spiritual figure, is not doing so well health wise. And it's having an effect on me in a pretty powerful way. And what in addition to reflecting on, I don't know if this is the end, but whether or not it's the end, it's kind of provoking a reflection on life in the context of mortality, human life in the context of the end of human life. Sadhguru always talks about how you want to build your vision of life within the context of mortality. And the first time I heard him say that, I was like, whoa, that it's so kind of obvious in a way, but it's also so profound because a lot of spiritual practice is about letting go of restrictions, dissolving blockages, right? Finding freedom, finding consciousness, and dissolving compulsiveness. That, if I had to summarize spiritual practice, I'd say it's kind of like that'd be if I had to do it in like one sentence, I would do it that way. I would say spiritual practice is the practice of dissolving compulsiveness and tapping into consciousness. And death, the death of the human body, feels like another restriction sometimes when we're looking at it from the point of view of what we can do on earth, what we have the time to do in a lifetime. Death is a cap on that. But it's also, because it's a limitation, because it's a restriction, because it does cap the end of a certain process happening in a certain physical body anyway, it's also a massive values and kind of soul purpose informing thing. Because actually acknowledging that life ends is kind of like, it's like the end of pretending that we can have whatever we want, do whatever we want, right? It puts a frame around things that not only limits them, it also orders them. Because death isn't just a cap. It's not like a vessel at a certain level of volume and you're just going to fill it with however much water. It's also, especially, and I think this is why Sadhguru insists that we should keep it front and center. Keep the reality of death in our minds frequently, because what we put into that space, what we fill our lives with, the things that we choose are going to be vastly different if we are consistently recognizing the end, the approaching end of the process, versus when we're not, versus when we're just doing things and the process is happening, and the process is, there's still an impending end, but we're not really paying attention to it, and then it ends. Right? I think there's a big difference there. There's a big difference between me saying, this is what's valuable to me, this is what I'm investing in, this is what I'm investing my hours, days, weeks in, when I only have a certain amount to invest, versus when I'm sort of have kind of a vague or, almost avoidant relationship with the fact that that time is limited. And I think, so first of all, just watching a close friend potentially approach the end, although I don't know that, and it's not, I certainly don't want to, I don't claim to know where that's heading, or I don't want to put limits on it, but the moment that we're in evokes a recognition of the temporariness of all this. So I think I'm taking that with me into my process of transitioning in my life. I'm taking that awareness with me, because looking away from death is almost, you can almost call it like the original compulsive behavior. It's like the first thing. It's the first form of avoidance, because obviously, we have powerful survival mechanisms in our body and in our mind. Consciousness is not temporal. It's one of the weird things about life. Consciousness is infinite and unbroken and not time bound, and consciousness is the ultimate. It's what's here. It's what is. So, and especially when we connect with that, it's easy to feel like the body, the mind are somehow also immortal and infinite, when they're not. And I feel like in my work, in my own steps, my own next steps, I could do with a dose of that limitation. I could do with a dose of that sense that this is not going to go on forever, and that therefore it matters what I choose. I'll choose things that I can't unchoose, and I'll choose things over and above other things that I won't later have the option of choosing if I think I chose wrong. Or so those choices matter. And it's not that we can get it wrong necessarily, but it's what if we can only do certain things, if we only have time for some of it, what matters more and what matters less. That's the real deal. So that's where I'm at today, folks. I'm self-conscious of my tie-dye shirt as I have this somber message for the day. But my daughter and I made it at school, and she loves it when I wear it. She's not awake yet. She'll be up in a minute. I cannot believe she's not awake yet. I'm rambling. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.